And we are at the Campus View Club here in the Peterson Event Center. It's a beautiful space, basically one of the baselines here at the Pitt, and it's a gorgeous. If you haven't checked it out and you get an opportunity to, it is a great spot. And Jeff, back obviously, man, what do you tell your guys after that game last night?
Well, what we talked about today was, we showed some of the good things that we did, and we did do some good things. But we really talked about we have to rebound. We have to gang rebound. That's not something that was a surprise going into the game. We talked about it. It was a point of emphasis. Obviously, we didn't execute it. It's tough if you think about a game and you think, especially a really good team on their home court, if you hold them to 36% shooting, 22% from the three-point line, and you force 17 turnovers, you'd probably think you're going to win the game. But our inability to rebound, I think they got 24 offensive rebounds. They got to the free throw line 27 times. That was the difference in the game.
When you're saying gang rebounding, you mean just more bodies in there, or is it positioning?
It's both. We don't have an elite level rebounder. I mean, we don't. That's something I've known from the beginning of the season. And, so we have to do it by committee. We have to have physicality, so we have to block out. And then the guards have to get in there and rebound. With that game, we knew coming in that Filipowski, Young, and Mitchell were going to be on the glass every time. Filipowski and Young had 90 offensive rebounds between them. That's a lot. And then Mitchell was right there, 50-something or whatever. And so we knew their 3, 4, and 5 were going to be there. And so what we talked about was that a lot of times their guards don't go. And so for us, we may have to put 2 on Filipowski, 2 or whatever, and our guards have to get in there and rebound. And we didn't do that. And it really started, and this is what I showed them today, the very first offensive possession Duke had, we played initial good defense. We forced a contested shot, but as soon as the shot went up, you could see us. I paused it, and we're just standing, looking. And that's what I mean. We have to put bodies on people. The last time we were in a game where we were, our butts were kicked like that on the glass was at Vanderbilt. They had 18 offensive rebounds, and we lost that game by 1. We got better from that. We have to get better from this.
You expect that? Is that where the maturity in that room really hopefully comes through?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, because the thing we talked about after we played Vanderbilt, now teams have this tape. They're going to see that. They're going to see that as a weakness, and we have to change it. We can't expect it to change. We have to change it. I think Duke was averaging about 10 offensive rebounds a game in conference play, but it's obviously something that they saw, and they attacked it. Georgia Tech is averaging 11 offensive rebounds a game. So that's an area I'm sure they're looking at that we're going to try to exploit that. So it's up to us to change it.
So Josh is telling his guys, like, hey,
no question.
This is.
I mean, he probably doesn't have to tell them if they saw it, if they watched the game. If I'm a post player for them or a wing or a forward, I'm probably thinking, man, I'm salivating like because a lot of times those are points, and the one thing most players want to do is score, and so. That's something that we have to get better. We had been pretty good at it. We had done a better job since Vanderbilt. I think if you look at our numbers in ACC play, we're near the top. But it's obviously something that we have to correct.
When you have a relatively quick turnaround and have a game on Saturday, how much do you focus on that, and then how quickly do you turn the page?
Yeah, we have to turn the page. That's something that we've tried to do even when we've had good moments. When we've won, we've tried to turn it very quickly. And our process is still the same. We come back, we talk about it, we watch. I clip up some stuff that I kind of, what are the themes or a theme that we want to go through. So for us, we wanted to talk about the good things that we did. We wanted to show some teachable things, some things that we can improve on, and then we showed the bad stuff. And we had a whole segment on rebounding. We showed all 24 offensive rebounds, and we showed us not blocking out. We showed when we weren't in the gaps defensively, and Filipowski, we knew coming in he's a left driver. That's what he does. And in the first half, we gave up 2 left drives. We had opportunities to take charges on him, and we didn't. That would have been a huge play because one of the best ways to defend a good player is to get him on the bench. If you can get him in foul trouble. We had 2 opportunities in the first half to get charges on him, and we didn't do that. Those are plays that we have to correct.
As you're watching tape with them, can you tell by their nonverbal, like how locked in they are? And what?
Yeah, this group has been pretty locked in. You know, a lot of times a player knows. You know, as a player, I know when I played. Like I knew when I played well. I knew when I didn't play well. I didn't need the coach yelling at me, although he did all the time. But you know, like you kind of know. And so I think after the game, I mean, we put up on the board at halftime. They had 13 offensive rebounds, and we said that's the game. We were up 11. If we cut that in half, we're maybe up, 15, 16 to 20 points, somewhere around there. That was their offense. Again, they're sub 40%, from the field. 22% from 3. Like that was their offense, just to get it up on the glass and go get it. And if that's something we would have done a better job, then we would have probably won the game.
So you're saying when you walked in, there still may have been some verbals hanging at the top of the arena from when you played there. Some memories in that regard.
Well, the guy's not there, the coach is not there, but the memories and the stuff still plays in my head. It's like that, post-traumatic whatever you have. Yeah. I still have some of that for the things that were said to me for 4 years.
You added a new addition to your staff this year who is a huge part of what you do. We're going to talk to him next and his role in making you guys better, not just this year, but over the course of a player's career. As we continue, it's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. And welcome back to the Jeff Capel Show. We're joined by strength and conditioning coach Vincent Williams. We'll explain more about your name and your namesake as we continue, but you joined the program this summer.
Yes.
When you first meet with the players, what are some of your core beliefs that you really want to institute with these guys?
Number one, just instill how we're going to do things on a day in and day out basis, how we're going to warm up, how we're going to lift. Just make sure we're in a routine, and then that way the guys can almost kind of coach themselves, as they come in day to day. We start every day in the weight room. Before practice, so we start every day in the weight room. The guys know the routine. They come in, they hit, whatever their activation or warm-up series is, and then we get to the lift, and then from lift we go right into practice. So just establishing what we're going to do on a day in and day out basis.
What's the importance of energy in what you do?
That's how you get better. I mean, it's a long season. And then they're around me a long time, so just having the right energy each and every time you come in the weight room, that you're here for a reason and it's going to help you get better. It's going to pay off down the road. But if you come in with the wrong energy, you're not going to get anything out of it. So that's what I always harp on, is make sure we're doing things with the right energy.
I remember one of the old football strength and conditioning coaches saying that when you're a strength and conditioning coach, you are everything, from coach to friend to father to mentor to. Do you kind of feel that same way?
Wear multiple hats. You're kind of the pipeline. Everything kind of comes through you within the program. If guys are playing high minutes, you have a direct hand in that. Guys who aren't playing as much, you have a direct hand in that. Guys who need to get better, you have a direct hand in that. With the way we do things here at Pitt, with everyone coming through the weight room before practice, I got class coach, I got to take this exam. So you're taking in a lot of information that you wouldn't normally think of as a strength coach. You might think it's sets and reps, but just because of the way we do things, I'm naturally going to hear a lot, what's going on with our guys.
How long does it take you to figure out how to motivate a certain player?
Good question. Not long. Now, I've been doing it to a point where I kind of get a feel for a guy after about 2-3 weeks. That's kind of where you kind of see where a guy's habits are. So after that point, I kind of know, all right, what buttons to push. Okay, oh, he's just this way all the time. Okay, maybe I need to be a little bit here. I need to be a little bit sterner on this end, with the guy. But usually about 2-3 weeks, I got a good feel for a guy.
Can you give us an idea? You mentioned your workouts before practice. Maybe there would be a perception that, okay, you bench, do some squats, and then you're onto the court.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's more than that, and there's more equipment. What's a typical
lift?
Yeah.
Great question. For us, let's go through tomorrow. So tomorrow will be 1 day out, so we say -1. We just played yesterday, but we're also going to play at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So you can't do too much. And at the same time, you don't want to do too little. You do want to enhance their performance for that game. So tomorrow, we like to do what we call we branch guys off. So obviously you have some guys playing high minutes, you have some guys playing low minutes. So our guys who are playing lower minutes right now, they'll do an explosive lift in combination with upper body. And then our guys who are playing more minutes, they might do a series of mobility drills, and they'll also do the upper body lifts as well, just so they kind of still get that stimulus. So that's kind of how you break it off, where everyone's kind of doing the same thing, but it's kind of geared toward where you're at in the rotation right now.
How do you change between like free weights, bands, like machines? What's your philosophy on that stuff?
So our philosophy is three-dimensional movement. So we're a basketball-specific strength training program. That's what we like to do. We like to mimic the actions of a game. So if you look at the game of basketball, it's a very dynamic game. You're playing in 94 by 52-foot space. Guys have to be able to jump, reach, lunge, squat, do all these different things in three dimensions, in the sagittal plane, frontal plane, transverse planes. They got to be able to control all these different positions. So we choose equipment that allows us to train those things. So one of the things we did this off season is with our weight room, we opened it up. We added about 400 square feet of space, but we didn't change the structure. So how do you do that? We kind of got rid of some equipment. So now we have a huge just open space. It's about 400 feet. So 400 square feet, that's almost about your lane line. So if you go from the baseline up to about the top of the three-point line, and then if you go the width of the paint, that's the kind of space we have now. And then we have we added a Vertimax Raptor. We have a wall inside of our weight room. We mounted the Raptor to the wall. So now the game of basketball is also played on that horizontal vector. So now we can load guys into that Vertimax Raptor, and they can do explosive movements or lunges or squats all the way out to that 25-foot mark and back. And then you still got the width of the paint. So you know if it's a lateral shuffle, so you're able to train all these dynamic movements. Yeah, exactly. So you're able to train all these dynamic movements so that when a guy gets on the court, whether it's a Jorge or a Nate or a Nelly or a Greg, they've been there before, and now their body's accustomed to it, and now they're able to perform at their best.
We're joined by Panthers strength and conditioning coach Vincent Williams. Yeah. So it's more than just curls, than 5 steps of curls and heading out.
We do that at the end of the workout.
How important is nutrition, and what do you tell your guys? Because obviously when they're with you, you can kind of control.
Exactly.
But when they're not, they're making choices. What do you tell them about nutrition?
It is just like you're dedicated to a weight room, you have to be dedicated to your nutrition, and it doesn't stop, right? It's especially, we got guys who need to bulk up on our team. So understanding that, I try to give them a numbers game, right? So if you have to do X, right? You have to take in a certain amount of calories each day just to kind of sustain, just to be able to live, right? But if you're trying to gain weight, you have to do that, and then you got to add on an additional amount of calories, right? But you also have to understand you're not the typical person, right? So you come out and you're practicing 2 hours a day, game, whatever, so you're expending a lot of calories. So for the normal person who might be able to eat this, now you got to eat here just to maintain. But if you're trying to gain weight, now you got to go above and beyond that. So just having them understand, okay, every 2 to 3 hours you should be eating something, whether it's on the sideline, during practice, after practice. Obviously, we can try to control that. Once you leave this building, though, every 2 or 3 hours you'd be eating something, and those calories add up over time. Over the course of 24 days, 2 to 3 meals, 2 to 3 snacks, whatever it is, over the course of 24 hours adds up. And then you add those 24 hours. We like to say good days add up. So those 24 hours, after 24 hours, weeks, months, semesters, all those things add up, and that's when you see the finished product.
So what they're doing now, when they get into their 40s, they probably don't want to do. Are they getting up I know I've heard linemen say they get up at 3 a.m. and eat peanut butter sandwiches or do something like that.
That's part of it, right? So if you think about it, I know our guys, they like to sleep in. But if you sleep in, you're missing out on 3 hours that you could be eating right there, right? So if you sleep in, until 9
That's
o'clock.
a diet I want.
So if you sleep until 9, right, that's 3 hours of calories that you could be taking in, but you miss out on. Now you got to make it up somewhere over the course of the other, 18 to 20 hours throughout the day.
Fitz, I want you had some experience in the NBA. I want to talk
Yes.
about that.
Yes.
And what you've liked about being here in Pittsburgh as we
Absolutely.
continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
Thank you.
And welcome back to the Campus View Club here at the Peterson Event Center. We are joined by Pitt strength and conditioning coach Vincent Williams, and we were just talking about a few things. You were telling me about you have GPS trackers.
Yes.
That you put on so it measures steps, heart rate.
Yes.
How does it work?
So it doesn't do heart rate just because of the location, but it allows us to track mileage, jumps, XLs and decels. A metric we like to call distance per minute, so how much a guy's moving around over the course of practice. So it tracks all of these things, and then at the end of each day, what we do is we send a report to coach, and we say, hey, coach, this is how hard practice was today. What are you thinking for tomorrow? We got 2 games in 4 days. How do we want to plan out and make sure we're managing guys the right way so that we're always in the best spot?
It's crazy how much information
Yes.
is out there, but you got to know how to use it.
Exactly. That was one of the things that, taking it back to Maryland, one of the reasons I was so attracted and wanted to intern there, they were so, when I was working under Kyle, who's still the strength coach at that time, they were so ahead of the game as far as reaching into all those different pockets, nutrition, GPS technology, training. You didn't just get a sets and reps internship. It was, okay, this is how you want to do GPS. This is how you want to report to a coach. This is how you want to set up your nutrition. This is what guys should be doing. And, without that 2 years, I wouldn't be here right now, quite honestly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You also spent some time in the league.
Absolutely.
So have you used to these guys? I mean, you may not want to work today, but, Joel did. Like, this is some of the things the guys in the league are doing.
Absolutely. All the time. Those guys at that level, they're such high caliber athletes. But the thing that keeps them there and the thing that makes them who they are is their dedication day in and day out, right? So they already have this immense amount of talent, but just because they're talented, they work just as hard off the court. Joel, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, this was from my time in Philly, even taking it back to my days in D.C., Brad Beal, learning from a vet like a C.J. Miles, just seeing, how they orchestrated their day around their craft. They wanted to know everything that was going in their body. They want to know everything, why we're doing it in the weight room. So it's coming upon me to make sure I'm on my P's and Q's, because I'm on if I'm going to work with $1 million guy, you don't want to waste their time, So that exchange, made me better, and I hope, the interaction with them definitely made me better. I hope I did something for them as well.
So as fanatic as they are on the court, they're like that in the weight room with their nutrition off the court.
Absolutely. With their recovery, with their sleep, those guys are very, 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 very regimented, all the way down to one of the things in Philly that was really fun. I tell our guys here, me just trying to get the guys to drink water. Like you have to hydrate, right? So in Philly, I was responsible for stocking the fridge, and we had 6 different brands of water.
Seriously?
Right, seriously. So because each guy had their own brand that they preferred, right? So at that level, you have to do it. So we would have Smart Water, Essentia, Mountain Valley, BioSteel. We had 6 different kinds of water, but they were that obsessed with it that they had to have it.
Where did your interest in this start, and how about your love of basketball? Where did that begin?
So I'm from Prince George's County, so the DMV, right? So heavy basketball area. So I grew up playing basketball, grew up playing sports in that area. And then as I started to get older and get through high school, I realized I wasn't really that good, but I still wanted to be around the game. So
you didn't want to go in the media.
Yeah. So it's okay, what is it that I can kind of find my niche to kind of stay around the game, right? I couldn't remember a play, so it's like, okay, coach is not going to work, right? But I like to train, and then as I started to progress and I met some really influential people, I was like, oh, I can actually make a career out of this. And then one door led to another, and then I can kind of carve my niche here, So that's kind of how it got started.
Do you where do you want this to lead? Is this like what you're doing now? Is this like this is
it? Yeah,
this is it.
Yeah, this is the chance to have to be a head strength coach at the ACC program. My first internship, I was 26. If you had told me that when I was an intern in Maryland that year, when you turn 33, you'll be the head strength coach of ACC program, I set your line. Like, I would have thought, oh, yeah, 40, somewhere down the road, like, you got to pay your dues. But, I've been really fortunate, been extremely fortunate. Obviously, you work hard, but, been extremely fortunate to meet the right people and to get to this spot.
Have you used a credit card or gone somewhere and used like Vince Williams and someone think that you were the old Steeler linebacker?
Not yet in Pittsburgh. Not yet.
I'm shocked by that. I can tell you some places where people would lose their mind and say, "Oh man, Vince Williams is coming in," and they.
Well, you know what gives it away? It's the Maryland ID. When I have to show my ID, they see Maryland on the ID card.
For those that don't know, Vince was a very successful linebacker with the Steelers. There was one other thing I wanted to ask you. You'd mentioned recovery.
Yes.
The value. What is the value? What do you tell your guys about making sure that not only you work out and do all that stuff hard, but that you give yourself some rest?
Absolutely. One thing I like to tell our guys is that you train hard, but you got to recover harder, right? So if you train hard, right, but you don't recover as hard, how do you expect yourself to be just as good the next day, right? So it's all about the next day, right? So if you have a really good day on the court, you kill it in the weight room, but you go home, you don't get any sleep, you don't eat the right things, you don't get off your feet, how do you expect yourself to have another good day, right? Because good days add up. How do you expect to have another good day and another one and another one? So that's the importance of recovery, right? We take it, it's so important for us after each practice and after home games, after home games, guys have to do 8 minutes in the ice tub. And after practice, guys have to choose something to do for recovery, and we keep track of it, right? So you're not doing the same thing every day. They have 6 options to choose from. So after each practice, they can either get stretched out, hot tub, cold tub. We have, a bunch of different modalities here, but they have to do something. They can't do the same thing 2 days in a row.
All right. Benson, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Belated welcome to Pittsburgh.
Thank you.
As we continue, he would work with Jeff and Director of Basketball Operations with that department. Now he's an assistant at Fordham. You probably know him for a shot against West Virginia. Ronald Ramon is going to join us next here on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Welcome back. We are joined back with Jeff, and that was some fascinating stuff with Vincent because you don't realize all that goes in to that part of it.
Yeah, he's really good. We got lucky we were able to get him. Obviously, Gary did an amazing job for us and wanted to be closer to home. His parents, his sister, and so he made that decision. And I think we hit a home run. His experience, especially in the NBA, but just his demeanor, I thought was something that was really important for our guys in our program.
It was interesting. So earlier today, I went on Google, and I'm like, I'm going to type out Ronald and see. And I'm like, Ronald, and I got to RAM, and it finished out Ramon buzzer beater because that's how he's always associated with the Pitt program. And now Ronald Ramon is assistant coach at Fordham. He joins us now. Ronald, you okay with that when you type in your name, that buzzer beater comes after that?
Okay.
Congratulations on your
How you guys doing?
Good. Congratulations on your start, man. You got 13-4 at Fordham. What has been the key to this year, and what's this season been like for you?
Thank you, but it's just we try to implement a culture, right? We talk about it from the beginning since we got here last year, because that's the most important thing, and it's been the hardest thing. We came in to this program with a mindset of how we can get guys in here to believe in everything that we're trying to implement. And it's been hard. It's been very, very hard. But having guys to buy in on our non-negotiables, on what we believe in is going to make us be successful, and just seeing them perform and do it every single day on the floor, just trying to get better so you can be the best team you could possibly be at the end of the season. We struggled the last few games. We're trying to find ourselves. but guys are still playing hard. They're still doing everything we ask them to do. So, it's just a journey. It's a journey and it's a process. And every day you have to literally go at task and trying to figure out how to get that team to still be together.
Double R, what's up, man?
What's going on, Tate?
So my question is this: how much harder is this as a former player and a good player now on this side of it?
You told me from the beginning. And you really don't realize it until you're in the spot. It's been hard. It's been really, really hard because, one, the reason why you get into coaching is to make a difference in their lives, right? They come in and you're trying to still run a program, but it's still teaching them so they can become great men after they leave from here, and just dealing with the emotions and dealing with having guys to buy in and still having to perform at a high level is very, very hard. And learning as a leader, you have to know how to get to each guy and trying to figure out how to get the best out of every single player in a different way. And I think that's been the hardest thing.
We're joined by former Panther guard, current Fordham assistant, Ronald Ramon. So along that line, Ronald, there had to have been something when you were a player that you thought, man, if I ever coach, I'm never going to make them do this. But now you have. What is something that you said that you would never do, but you found yourself either saying or doing to your players?
I guess after a loss, I think the hardest thing is you come back and trying to stay consistent. Whether you win or after a win or loss, you're trying to maintain the same type of non-negotiables, how we say it here, right? Whether it's not about the win and losses of your program, it's how you're going to handle that from the beginning to the end. But sometimes it's hard because you want to come in and you want to make them run as much as possible the next day and talk about all the mistakes you made, but you still don't want to seem as like you're panicking, right? As a coach, being able to say, "Oh, we're only doing that because we lost the game," because it's not about that, right? It's about being the best team you could be at the end of the season and how you can get to that. But still, it's hard. You come back and you say, "No, I'm not going to talk about that. I want to be positive. I want to come back and as soon as you get in the office and they come watch film, you just look at them like, come on, man.
Yeah. Do you find yourself doing or saying things that Jamie said to you guys?
Oh, yeah. I do. And I catch myself. And I was like, I just did it. So you get to appreciate it a little bit more afterwards. I promise. It's been a journey. It's been a journey in the last 2 years.
Ronald, what did you learn from Jeff that really has stuck with you that you're putting into practice now?
I think he's a great leader, and he maintains that level of trying to get to guys and being able to handle different personalities the right way in order to get to them to do what you believe is the best for the team. Doing different things. Okay, I know this guy's going to respond. If I call him out in the middle of practice in front of everyone, he's going to respond better. He's going to play better. So maybe this guy, I'm going to bring him in and talk to him and being able to get to him differently. So I think that is his biggest thing, and I learned that the 2 years working with him, being able to handle that with guys and being able to get the best out of those guys. And I mean, you can see it this year. It's been from the outside in, watching them play. Those guys love playing with each other. That's what I'm seeing from the outside in. They want to play for each other. They're picking each other up when someone is on the floor. They feel joy of giving that extra pass and guys making shots, so they're happy for each other. And you could tell, you got 4 guys averaging double digits. There's not just one guy going out there, and they don't care who's getting the points, right? They're sharing the ball, and you could tell they want to win more than anything. So you can see that. So it's been a pleasure watching these guys play this year as a former Pitt player, and knowing what it takes, and wearing the jersey. Watching those guys do it, I feel proud. No matter what happens, but just how they're playing for each other. That's Pitt basketball.
Yeah. Wow. One of the things that was really, and first I appreciate you saying that, one of the things that was probably one of the coolest things that's happened since I've been here, we did a thing. I think Ronald was instrumental before he left of trying to set this up, and then Gilbert Brown took it over, where we had like a weekend where the former players came back and we played against them. Our current guys that were here played against the former guys.
Oh, wow.
And I sat and I just watched. I sat and for the game, I sat near the former players' bench. And one of the things I told our guys afterwards, in front of the former guys, we all got together, and I told them, like, one of the coolest things for me was watching them. Like, I've heard all these stories. Obviously, I've admired this program from afar before I took this job. And the guys like Ronald and, Brandon and all those guys from that time, DeWan, all those guys. And some of those guys were here. Levance was here. And you hear all these stories. I've heard a lot of them from Ronald. I've heard a lot of them from Gilbert. But then you see it. Like, you could still see the love they had for each other. You could still see the joy they had for each other. You could still see their competitive spirit. You could really see that. And I told our guys, like, if we can be like that, like, that's what I hope you got out of this. Not just good bump, just, good play. But you see that. Like, that's what we're trying to establish, is we are trying to get this program. It's not just about having a good team. It's trying to build a program. And that was one of the coolest things for me, just being around those guys and watching and seeing the pride they had with having that jersey back on again.
Yeah, I think one of the things about Ronald, too, like, Ronald, you're always under control, it seems like. You're cool, everything kind of flows off you. And then you see, like, it could be a competitive game of ping pong or something. It's like, Ronald comes to play. Like, you ain't right? Am I wrong, Jeff?
No, you're not wrong.
Like, that competitiveness, like, really comes out in you, and I'm sure that's something that was really honed during your time here.
Oh man, that was everybody. We were crazy on the court. We fought almost every single day on that floor as we push each other to be better. But once we got off that court, that was your brothers. We spend literally every day together. We're going to go eat together. We went to training table, and they had to kick us out of training table to go to class because we were just sitting there and we enjoyed being around each other, right? But we push each other, right? That's when you become brothers and you can hold each other accountable once you're on the court. And trust me, you'll hear it. You get on that floor and you didn't bring it that day, you was going to hear it.
And now you're the one delivering that message.
I'm trying to deliver that message.
These young folks different now, Jeff. These young kids, a little bit different these days, man. You got to watch what you say to them. Sure. You can't say the things that Jamie used to say to him, that Coach used to say to me, and even that when I played, that I said to my teammates. Like it's a little bit different right now.
It definitely is. A little bit different.
Hey, Ronald, congratulations on your guys' start. I know for anyone who wants to see, you guys are going to be back. You're going to be in Pittsburgh a week from Saturday playing Duquesne. Best of luck to you. Thanks for taking time. And as always, we value everything that you did for the University of Pittsburgh.
Appreciate you, man.
No, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
All right.
Thanks again, Coach.
Keep it going, man.
Yeah.
As we continue, we're going to get some thoughts from Jeff as to early ACC play as we continue on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Welcome back to the Campus View Club. The Panthers on the road against Georgia Tech. We're going to talk about that coming up. And Jeff, it's been I'm looking at the ACC standings right now. Clemson's 6-0, Miami's 5-1, then you, Wake, Duke, Virginia, Syracuse, all 4-2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and there are a couple teams. I don't want to forget NC State, UNC, and Florida State at 3-3. I mean, this is and even the two. I mean, no one's out of it this early, but it's been so competitive.
It's a really, really competitive, a really, really good league. Even Miami's one loss was at Georgia Tech. They were ranked 12th in the country. They go down there, and Georgia Tech beats them. It's competitive from top to bottom. Like I said last night after the game, it's really good coaches, really good players, programs that have a lot of pride, and it's a long year. And there's competitive spirit and competitive pride. We certainly aren't happy that we've lost these 2 in a row. I look at it, we've gone through the gauntlet. If you look at who we've played, all of those teams that we've played are, Virginia, NC State, Syracuse, North Carolina, Clemson, Duke, and so we've kind of gone through the gauntlet, especially here after Christmas. These next one will be really, really important for us because we're playing against a really good team. I mean, Georgia Tech, lost in overtime to Notre Dame. It's really hard to win on the road in this league. Georgia Tech lost in overtime, had the game won, and Notre Dame made some plays down the stretch. So it's hard. It's a hard league. It's hard to win, period, but especially in this league.
And I know people, because they're not a traditional basketball power, will say, "Oh, Clemson." Tell you what, they've got to mature. Like, you guys went tooth and nail 5 days ago here.
They are really good, man. I mean, I told our guy I thought that they were the best team that we've played up to that point. Just overall, they're older. They have a really good big guy in P.J. Hall. Hunter Tyson is having an all-league, kind of year so far. Chase Hunter, made some huge shots against us. They're very, very physical. I mean, really physical. They can defend. They're a really good basketball team. And we were right there. I mean, it was a heck of a game.
It was.
I thought it was two really good teams that played at a very high level. And when you're in a game like that, it comes down to players making plays, and they just made a few more than us.
Yeah, or who has the ball on the one last shot? Who makes?
I mean, we you go back and you look at it, down the stretch, they hit a long three, which they hadn't made a lot of threes that game. We had a defensive breakdown where we gave up a 3-point play, but then they banked in 2 shots.
That one with the kid who hadn't scored in the ACC.
The kid that has not scored in the ACC banked in a shot, and we got 3 great looks from 2 really good players that shoot the basketball that didn't go down, and that was the difference in the game.
It's crazy what it comes down to. We'll continue with more here on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. There was some incredible news involving a Pitt Panther family member and Demar Hamlin, and just amazing that he's now out of the hospital. I know you guys have had contact with him. It's an incredible story.
It's incredible, and all praises be to God and the power of prayer, and one of the most amazing things. And those of us here in the Pittsburgh community, Demar, how big his heart is, and how good of a guy he is. And, that just this tragedy has brought people together and is, showing the human spirit. And he's going to pay it forward. I know that's something that he's going to do. Obviously, the money raised for his charity. But it's just great, man, to see him, to see the smile, to see him back out, and he'll be able to live his life, and whatever comes along with that is just another blessing.
And the beauty of Demar was he was paying it forward before this.
Absolutely, and this will just get his message out of who he is. It's sad. I said it's sad that sometimes it takes tragedy for people to really know who people are.
Right.
But people will see his spirit, his heart, his generosity, and what an unbelievable young man he is.
We'll take a look at Georgia Tech, who the Panthers face 3 o'clock on Saturday. You're listening to the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. So, Jeff, you mentioned it earlier, Georgia Tech, the team that handed Miami its only loss. So you might look and say 1-5, not you, but fans. Like, this is going to be a challenge.
It is. They play a funky style. They switch defenses constantly. It's a really funky zone that they play. They're very aggressive in it. and they're trying to confuse you. They can play man like they played Notre Dame the other day. They played them the whole game man, and they switched everything, and it caused them some problems. Offensively, they'll run the Princeton system, which can be difficult to defend. You're chasing it. They're shooting the basketball really well from three. Be a tough challenge for us.
All right, thanks to strength and conditioning coach Vincent Williams, to Ronald Ramon, to Matt Plisga, and Amanda King, and to Bill Steinbach. Jeff, best of luck.
Appreciate it.
Pre-game at 2:30 right here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network Saturday.